Okay, everybody. Right, I'll try and make this as brief as possible. Now, this chap above my head here is Daro Weilburg. Now, he is trying to pass himself off as a legitimate Jehovah's Witness. But there's something just not ringing true with me. I mean, he's wearing a badge, a little blue badge of honour. I mean, why would he even bother to do something like that? I mean, who is he trying to sort of impress here? It just doesn't make any sense. There are some things that he did say in his video, for me, that do make sense though. And I want to cover those. And it is regarding the amount of bottles that were supposedly purchased by Tony Morris in that supermarket. Now, I've checked and I'm pretty sure that Tony Morris probably only rang through on the checkout 6 bottles, 1 case. You can clearly see that in the shopping trolley that he's pushing towards his car at the time, you can clearly see that there's just 1 case in sort of like the child's part of that shopping trolley. And that's what he transfers into his car. So I don't know where people are suggesting that there were cases of whiskey. Not cases, I think there was just a single case. And I think he makes a good point there when he brings that up. I also don't have any proof of the time and the day of when he was likely to have purchased it. There is a suggestion that it was 11 o'clock on a Sunday. It's a bit cliche, to be honest with you. You know, really? I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm just saying, where's the proof on that? Can we have a bit more dynamics on that? Because that's just conjecture. Also, this Daro guy, right, he's very, very supportive of the governing body, and yet he doesn't sort of label them as leaders. Although, you know, every Jehovah's Witness knows that the governing body is supposed to dispense the spiritual food at the proper time. And yet this chap here, he says, they're not my leaders. My leader is Jesus Christ and Jehovah God. I think I know where he's coming from with that particular train of thought. But you could argue that, let's just say you're an interested person and you're going through the questions because you want to qualify to be baptized. Is there not a question in that book that you go through that says that you must recognize the faithful and discreet slave as the ones that are dispensing food at the proper time? Therefore, you kind of recognize them as your leaders, aren't you? I mean, that's the way I see it. He puts this counter argument together, and it's only his opinion. I don't really think he's proving that point about the leaders. I think we kind of know that when Jeffrey Jackson was on the stand, he was there because he was a figurehead of the Jehovah's Witnesses. So therefore, he's recognized as one of the leaders. Otherwise, they could have just dragged anybody and put them in that role and asked them to just answer the questions that the Australian Royal Commission were asking at the time. So, Darryl, yeah, you see what he's doing now? He's holding up a pen. And now it's one of these spy pens. Now, you can buy these. And I'm thinking of buying one, but not a cheap one that he's got. He's got one of them $30 ones. I'm going to get something much more sophisticated than that. You know, I'm going to probably get one for about 100 or a few £100 or something like that, but a really good one. One that will last about 5 hours, continuous recording. That one he's just held up. So it's just a cheap and nasty one. And that will only give you 1 hour's recording at 1080p. But what he's trying to say is that the chap that was doing the video of Tony Morris in the supermarket was using his mobile phone. And that really, if he was serious about capturing someone in clearer detail, then he would have used something like a spy pen. Yeah, it's all right being wise after the event, but you've got to realise is that this guy that was in the supermarket didn't expect to see a member of the governing body. And so he only had his phone on him. You know, he didn't come equipped with all the spy technology that the 21st century offers at the moment. So he just used his phone. That's what everybody does. If they've got something to capture, they quickly get their phone out and they snap it, don't they? So That's all this guy did. But he wants to call him a moron, does Daro. And he wants to call John Cedars a moron as well. He really, really has a go at John Cedars, does Daro. He thinks that John Cedars has photoshopped the one picture of the cases to make it look like more than one. I don't actually think that John Cedars would go to that kind of trouble. I just don't think he's that kind of person, right? You know, whether you like him or love him, you know, like him, love him, or hate him, or you're indifferent about Mr. Cedars, he just wouldn't go to that kind of trouble. I mean, he was given this footage by the one that took the footage. He would have then sent it in an email attachment to Lloyd Evans. But I don't think that Lloyd would have gone to any kind of trouble to make the Jehovah's Witnesses out to be anything out of the ordinary. You know, I'm quite sure about that. There's only one thing we can establish up to now, and that is that 6 bottles would have rung through on the checkout. So Tony Morris would have probably have purchased them, even in the extreme amount, $89 a bottle, if they were the higher order of the whiskey. Or he could have got them in a sale at a reduced price. So you have to do a deduction. You know, you cannot hold by this $850 or $1,000 that people are saying. That's a fabrication and cannot be proven. But I think that quite possibly he may have spent about $300. I think that may be the case. So that's something that you can clearly see that there's that one case that's in the trolley that he then transfers into his... I don't know what vehicle it is, but it's certainly not anything overly posh, is it? You know, there's nothing lavish or ostentatious about the vehicle that Tony Morris is driving. And he does make a point of that, does Darryl. He wants everybody to know that they don't live in a lap of luxury. You know, they're not like other evangelizers who may have Rolls Royces and most expensive cars in the world at the expenses of the parishioners. So he wants everybody to know that. Now, he does make some points that I will take on board and think that we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's very fond of bashing people and calling them morons. I know that's the Americans seem to call everybody a moron, don't they? I mean, Donald Trump's favourite word, isn't it? Moron. But he's calling quite a few people morons in the X community. And that's just his way. You know, he's kind of aggressive. He kind of showing his hatred and his disdain for you. That's how I see it. Yeah, he's a strange character. But I can't work out if he's legitimate or whether he's just clickbait. You know, I don't see him as an elder. I don't see him as a ministerial servant because he just doesn't have that here that a ministerial servant and an elder would have. And I would see it, you know, because I only spoke to him the other day and I don't see any of that in Darrow's heart that tells me that he has a position in the congregation. So I don't think you have, Darrow. You know, I think maybe you should come clean and tell people that you've not been in the religion that long. But to invite yourself to Tony's house, I mean, that's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? And then suggest that you have a whiskey with him? No, you're pulling at my pisser here, aren't you? I know that now. You must be. Because this doesn't ring true, mate. It just doesn't ring true. There are things you said that make sense, but not everything that you say comes with any clarity. There are some cloudy issues that you can't prove either. Anyway, I'm leaving it at that. Darryl does a lot of talking. I bet he does another video, and if he does another video, I am going to be really surprised. Very surprised indeed. Because you wouldn't think that an active Jehovah's Witness would even go to the trouble of defending anybody. Why would they need to? And I don't think that Tony Morris will thank him for it either. Thanks.